Welcome back. It's still the bumper breakfast, and this morning we're focusing a little bit on our community report. We try to look at the issues that affect everybody, and today we're focusing on housing and real estate, and we're looking at resolving the housing challenges and the deficit that we have experienced for a while. And we're focusing particularly on the regulatory role of government, and we have in the studio with us this morning the president of the Estate and Commission Agent, Godwin Allenkhe. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to have you here.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Let me first of all establish the fact that the industry has been going through a lot of challenges pre-COVID, during COVID. And I wouldn't say we're post-COVID yet,
no,
but
we're not.
Let's say post-COVID lockdown. Because we're still in it. We've been going through a lot of challenges, from issues of failed rent payments to the issues of dilapidated houses to so many other issues. I was on the island the other day, and I saw two buildings that I could practically not fit in the middle of the two houses. I mean, two different houses, two different compounds,
and that's the norms.
On fenced houses,
yes.
On the island, practically not pass. As small as I am, I could not pass through the middle of the houses. And I was saying that
they don't have a compound there. There's nothing like a compound, a parking space, or anything. It's nothing like that on the island.
I know, it's a strange concept.
No, I'm telling you, that's the norms there.
Not possible.
And they have people living in those buildings. Someone told me they have thousands of people in those buildings. And someone told me that if you enter one of those buildings, what they have in that house, I'm telling you, some people living in a normal building don't have that in their house. Yes, I'm telling you, that's how they live there.
They are right to some extent. You are right.
It has always been like that over there.
So my question now, therefore, will be that since it looks as if you and I, if you are the expert, we laymen, journalists, if we look around, we can identify some of those challenges. Who is regulating some of these issues? Why has situation remained the same year in, year out?
Well, I thank you for this opportunity, of coming on air, to at least let the people know that the responsibility of regulating belongs to the government, and that is it. Belongs to the government. You see, in a country where you allow people that doesn't have any foreknowledge of the profession to come into it, whether in the built industry, whether in the rent or whatever you call them, you are going to have this kind of chaos. You are going to have this kind of chaos.
One is not being handled.
Yes, I want to say I want to commend the Lagos State government. Lagos State government, way back 2007, there was a law to regulate the industry. It was signed by Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and we and other stakeholders contributed, to the enactment of that law, And the funny aspect of it is that we were thinking that the law will come into place, to tackle these challenges.
Yes.
Because the way we run our government in this country, I don't know. You see, when we have a law that says this is what we are supposed to do,
we don't obey the law.
This is not that. People did not. Government refused to implement it.
To implement the law.
So the law, there are no agencies set in place for that to implement.
That is where I'm going. The law set aside for the creation of an agency, the Lagos State Estate Agency Authority. You understand? And the government was just to set up that agency. You know what they did? They left it and they went into the tenancy law.
Created another law.
The tenancy law was to address the issue of landlord and tenant relations.
Yes.
It was the law that brought rent.
So that was what abandoned.
But this is what they did. That
1 year, I still got
this is what they did that is funny. Instead of you setting up that agency, do you know what they did? They now went and set up a department under the Ministry of Housing. They call it the Lagos State Transaction Department, Real Estate Transaction Department, to handle this huge This industry is so huge.
Yes, it's huge.
And we are bringing just a department to handle it. And that is where the problem
What
started.
if the department now... And
These challenges could not be handled by the department because the department has no legal backing. It was a creation of an executive order.
Oh dear. Okay.
I don't get you. Because I was going to say, the problem is the problem a matter of
So
staffing.
like that should be a ministry on its own.
It should be a ministry, an agency, an agency is empowered with the ministry. But to the glory of God, this present governor, because stakeholders have been so active.
Okay.
Like an association, Ercan as an association have been proactive. I have been the chairman of the association in Lagos State for 5 years before I became the national president, and we've been agitating that upgrade this department into an agency.
Is that being done?
When the governor came in, we went and we met. To the glory of God, it has been done. But in between those years, a lot of things has changed. The law need to be amended.
So now you see, because I keep asking the question, Jesse, why is it that these people
Because
just take your life and it practically looks as if you're at their mercy? There is absolutely nothing you can say. You can't report to anybody. Even when you report, nothing happens.
In between the period that we have the department on board, they have enforcement and whatever, but to the extent to which these issues are happening, they cannot take people to court.
Because they don't have the legal. Now that they have the legal backing and it's been created, what do you expect to change?
A lot in the sense that you are now going to have a regulatory process that all stakeholders must abide to. You are going to have a regulatory process that will bring confidence into the mind of investors and property owners. You understand? Because they are going to have an entry point. This is what you need to do to be licensed. Because if you are not licensed, you are not going to be allowed to practice. And that is what the law
But you
says.
say something that that your industry is so huge. Yes. So how do you get everyone to practice?
Everyone, you see, most especially those that are in
Because
the
people keep
industry.
joining every day.
This is it. You must set aside what we call rules and regulation, and there must be rule definition.
Okay.
For example, an estate surveyor and valuer is to do valuation of properties. You understand?
Okay.
Valuation of property. If I want to put my property for sale, I should be able to take it to an estate surveyor and valuer and to tell you the true value of that property.
Okay.
Then the property should be handed over to a real estate broker who will market, sought for a buyer. By the time a buyer is found, a lawyer will come in to prepare the binding agreement. That is the raw definition that the law is all about.
But if this part of the world is not practiced that way,
it is going to be practiced that way.
how?
No, you're talking about Lagos because you just said only Lagos is the agency.
Yes.
How many states across? You are the national president. How many states across the federation?
To the glory of God, I think last year we tried to get across to other professional bodies and say let there be a national regulatory body. And then we put together our submission, and it was the bill. It came as a bill. It was sponsored by I think Senator Peter Wabusi from Delta. Sponsored it, and the chairman on House Committee was Senator Barnabas Dimadi. And to the extent that it was brought out, and members of stakeholders came to also put in their input. That is to the extent to which I know it has not been signed into law. The president has not assented. And we believe we are going to push for that. So once there is a national regulatory body, all other states will come under it.
Yes. So irrespective of whether they adopt the model in Lagos or not.
Yes.
Now, we're still talking about regulations. The things we've identified problems. I said the things that you expect to change. Issues that you expect. Let's talk about the real issues that you expect these regulatory bodies to fix.
Real issue, you just mentioned the issue of getting into an uninhabited apartment. Regulation will not accept that, because to the fact that which you will need to build, it will be inspected by the body concerned. Who are the body concerned? The Lagos State government has their own they call it building approval, all this stuff will come in. So it will be continuous. As you are building, they will be there. So you have to build and hand over to a licensed property manager.
Yes.
Okay.
You understand? And before you are allowed to build, they must have ascertained your credibility as a developer.
Okay.
You understand? So it's not going to give room for you to just build a structure that
just
is not.
wake up in the
No. Because it has not been regulated. That is why you see all sorts of people coming up in the name of being a developer. Once the law has been made and pronouncements are made, they will not take the force on them.
I want to quickly ask a quick one. Is it because of all these things that are not balanced? Is that why we're still facing housing deficit in Nigeria?
The issue of housing deficit is, I have said government has no business in housing, building of housing estate. Yes, that is the truth.
But they do. But they
You
do.
see,
No, but that's what people ask them to do.
They don't have business. What they need to do, to create the enable environment, create infrastructure. Let there be good roads, electricity, security.
Yeah.
You see, we have private investors that are willing and ready to put their money into it. But the problem that they are facing is that the issue of them, the issue of permits, that is regularizing approval, has always been the problem. For example, if you want to build now, you must first of all start with surveying your land, right?
Yes.
In Lagos, I'm citing as an example of Lagos. In Lagos, mainland alone, you must pay as much as 500,000 to get a survey plan. It was formerly just 420. All of a sudden, moved to 500. In Lekki, it's 1 million. In Ikeja, it's 1 million for you to build. That is just survey. You pay directly to the state government.
State government.
That is just survey. Then they will now need a fixed price. It's a fixed price. They want you to come and say, you've drawn your drawing, it must be approved.
Wow.
Approval.
After paying that,
I'm just starting.
you're just
Approval. You will need to approve the buildings before.
I'm getting scared.
No. That is why you see a lot of lands. People are not ready to pay because they don't have these resources.
No. But we also have a lot of lands that you look at the building built on it and you ask yourself the question, who approved this kind of structure? I think that's also why people are building without approval.
That is why you see the rule creates the system creates room for fraud. Okay. That is what I'm saying. The system creates room for fraud. You need so after
expensive.
Let me tell you, even after paying all this money, you are expected to go inside and build. No, you won't build. You have to wait for 6 months, close to 1 year, before you get the approval to build. And this is why you see people going. So it creates room for fraud.
So if I now build without going through all these processes and somewhere here in Keja or Lekki, what will happen?
You would then not build in Keja because you know
the government will pull it down and confiscate that land.
That's why we're only seeing the sign X in some buildings.
And that's it.
Is that what we're saying, that red sign?
That is it.
Once I see that sign in the building, I know there's an issue.
There is an issue.
You now get it.
Issue attracts you, makes you to know that there is something there.
But even you dare not build.
So it's better to buy a house. I'd rather buy a house.
I
we have to go to some processes again.
You don't need to go to processes. You don't need to go to processes. But will you buy the one that is built to your taste? That is it.
No, but even if you buy the one that is built to your taste, Mr. Allenkhe, even if you buy the one that is built to your taste, what if the person also did not seek approval?
Yeah, that is where you need to do the due diligence. You buy professional, you let the professional come in. When you want to buy, consult your lawyer, consult your professional real estate person. You do due diligence, you do research, you confirm the approval and all this stuff before you make your business.
Because the reason I'm asking this question is, no wonder buildings are so expensive. Rent is so expensive because when your landlord
gets you that way and you're not paying out a law that says we should pay 6 months to landlord or we should pay 1 year no commission. No wonder they're getting commission from us now.
That's it.
And they're getting
the man must increase money. Most of these houses they build it on loans. What are we talking about? 25% interest rate. You know what I'm talking about. You need to recoup your money. But this is the solution.
What is the way forward?
We have said, just as you are subsidizing petroleum or whatever they call it.
No, we're no longer
now that has been rounded up, shifted to housing. Subsidized housing.
Housing purchase or housing housing rents. Which one? How would they do that?
Housing portion, let me tell you this.
Okay.
When a developer builds and he say he's selling for he build a 3-bedroom apartment, he's selling for 10 million. And what is your take home, your income as a salary earner?
Salary earner.
The government can look into the category of people that are low income earner and say low income earner that wants to own their home, the government can say we can subsidize this property for them.
For you.
Yes.
So some properties will be purchased through the government.
Through the government.
They can deduct from source and
Yes.
still be able to pay the housing owner in full, and then they
Yes.
deduct from source.
But can that be possible?
But that's what they are doing. That's what they're doing for their own housing estates anyway.
Yes.
That's what they're doing for the housing estates across board, whether it's state
So
or it's federal.
if they do so, it will go round. It will go round. You see, when you see an average person.
House, how will you make money? But that's the question. That's the question. This Allenkhe, I need to let you go. Thank you so much for joining us on the Bumper Breakfast Table this morning. It's a breakfast table, and of course, you know that we usually pick a potpourri of a lot of things. We put it together and make sure that at the end of the day, you are fully served and satisfied.
And I know some things they don't understand. Like me, some things I don't understand now.
You just did.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Allenkhe.
So when you see houses in the Keja being expensive, you know the island is expensive, you now know the reason.
We need to take a break. Of course, our friends at Smitola are live in the studio again, and you get to ask your questions. What are your questions? Logistics and career. We'll be back shortly.